Want to know how to advertise your medical practice? Let me tell you how you can use testimonials and reviews to flood your practice with patients who are ready, willing, and able to buy. Yep, that's what we're going to do is we're going to talk to you today about one of my other favorite ways to get patients into your practice. Now, most people, what they do is their marketing for new patients is pretty bad, quite frankly. And what they do is they run ads and they expect people to show up and be ready to buy. What they don't realize is there's a gap that exists between from the time that your customer fills out a form and the time that they come into the office. And the entire time, they're thinking to themselves, what the bleep have I just done? And they then get left to their own devices and they start to Google or talk to their friends or go on Reddit and start to read about hormone replacement therapy or P-shots or menopause treatments or orthobiologics regenerative. And they read about, guess what? The horror stories. So you have to control the narrative. And that's where one of my favorite tools in the world is the use of social proof. Now, what is social proof? Social proof is exactly that. It is one of the most powerful ways to convince people that you are worthy to do business with. And guess what? It's never done in your voice, okay? Because if it's done in your voice, it's bragging, okay? Now, I understand it ain't bragging if it's true, but you're gonna come across as a braggart. So what we wanna do, hey, I'm Matthew Galogli, and I'm a maverick. Well, what is a maverick? A maverick goes against the grain. We find our own way. And if you're sick and tired of being pushed around by the insurance companies, come join us. We'll show you the way out. And you'll love medicine again. Is we want to use other people's outcomes, I should say, to help people understand that you're actually very skilled at what you do. And I know you are, okay? So here's a couple of key things. I want you to use testimonials and reviews. That's just what we're going to talk about right now. And testimonials and reviews. Reviews are your online reviews, things of that nature, or testimonials. Now, testimonials can come in a lot of different ways, but let me just give you some context and background here. So the first thing is a testimonial is proof to the prospect of what you do or what you've done in the past, okay? And then you also have proof of people just like the prospect, okay? Now, I'll come back to that. I'm going to tell you a quick story on that. But the other thing is you want to highlight your reviews. The other thing you want to do is you want to use statistics. Specifically, you're in the world of like orthobiologics, regenerative. You can use things like data biologics to show scientific proof that this stuff works, okay? You can use experts who will vouch for you or celebrities, okay? But here are some of the more powerful ones. What I want you to do is remember, people are buying a desired outcome. And what I want you to do is, why not just show the outcome of your patients and the before and after? So one of my clients, Trev Buccieri, who has the Stay Young Center for Women up in Buffalo, he has a wall. And on this wall, what he does is the women come in and they do a treatment. The first treatment, he guarantees that they're going to lose, like, I think it's an inch off their waist, okay? And what they do is they take a measurement prior. They take measurements and pictures prior. They do the 7-minute procedure, and then they have the measurements again. And what they do is they have the women hold up a sign, and it says, on my first visit, I lost X amount of inches off of my waist. And he has the before and after pictures. Now, in a lot of those cases, he'll get them to sign a release so that he can put that picture up on the wall. So when people walk into the clinic, they have to walk by a wall of fame of all these women, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 women, of all these women holding up signs saying, I've lost 1.5 inches. Okay, now that's great when you're in the office. But what about pre-office? Well, let's stay with that same concept. And that same concept is showing the outcome. Now, I don't remember, there's a couple of doctors out there that do this, and I think it's brilliant. And what they do is they're doing orthobiologics treatments, and a lot of times it's for back injuries. And what they do is they videotape the patient trying to walk or move prior to the procedure. They interview them, they talk about what their pain is like, all of this. And then what they do is when the patient comes back in 4 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever, and they have them walk and move again. And they'll see that they have like full range of motion with their shoulder if they had frozen shoulder, or they had to walk with a cane and now they don't walk with a cane. They do these before and after so that they can show the outcome. They're controlling the narrative. You have to use video testimonials from the time that people find out about you online to educate them and show them as many different things, because if they're left to their own devices, they're going to find all the bad information, right? Like, what do you do when you're getting ready to, my wife and I just bought a security system, right? So what did we do? Well, we thought we were going to buy one, and then we read the reviews. Oh, we're not going to do that one. Then we found another one. That sounded okay. Then we did another one. Oh, this one's, everybody likes this one, right? This is exactly what your prospect is doing. And so you have to control the narrative. And I want you to use things like testimonials and reviews. Okay. Now let's go back to these first two. And specifically what I want you to do is I want you to have proof of people just like your prospect. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick little story. So when I was running the erectile dysfunction clinics, the ED clinics, we had the patient come in, they would meet with the doctor, they would get a test dose, and we would inject them with Trimix, and they would get an erection in the office within 10 minutes without stimulation. As you can imagine, pretty easy to sell somebody a package after that, right? And so get this guy, we get a great result, first visit, first injection, gets a great result. He's married, he hasn't had sex in 4 years. He's tried everything. He was taking 75 milligrams of Viagra. His urologist was telling him that he was going to need an implant. And so he was thrilled. Okay. So we go to offer the package and he goes, yeah, I'm not going to take it. And I sat there in disbelief and I said, well, wait a second. By the way, he had hit all the marks. Successful business guy, I think he was a banker or something like that, worked in one of the financial institutions in town here in Charlotte. 55 years old, long-term relationship, married, kids were out of the house, in the empty nest syndrome, all of the check boxes for us. And I said to him, well, you saw, and we had testimonials that ran. And I said, well, you saw the testimonials. Why aren't you going to buy? He goes, well, I don't think it's going to work for me. I said, well, I don't understand. We've injected you. You got the results here in the office. He goes, yeah, but none of your video testimonials that you've shown me were me. And he was right. You want to know why? Because every video testimonial we had was of a 50-year-old white guy, and he was a 62-year-old black man. You see, people are begging for a way and trying to figure out a way to not do business with you. They're looking for that one little shred of evidence to find and say, gotcha. You're telling me a lie. So after that point, guess what? We started getting video testimonials from every walk of life that came to the clinic. And we made sure that we had a rotation of those. Oh, by the way, he actually became one of our testimonials. The deal I made with him was, tell you what, you go ahead, you sign up, you take this, you inject. When you get results, I want you to come back and give me a video testimonial. And he did. So make sure that your video testimonials, your reviews, aren't just of people like you. Make it about all the other people that come into your clinic. Utilize video testimonials, utilize reviews in order to get people to believe. And they're going to believe when it's people that are like them, or like we were just talking about, using celebrities or people of authority. But that last topic is a topic for another video. Hey, what kind of success have you had in getting reviews and testimonials? What I'd love for you to do is post a comment below. And we promise to get back to you, but we want to hear, what's your success been like in getting reviews and testimonials? Post it below. We'll be happy to respond.